What if you could lose nearly 2 decades of your life for a crime you didn't commit? What if the evidence of your innocence was there from the beginning, but nobody looked? This is the story of Marcus Sullivan and 5 others who were convicted of murder in Brooklyn. They became known as the Brooklyn Six, and every single one of them was innocent. From the Salem Night Stories, we present the Brooklyn Six. Tonight we bring you a tale of justice delayed, hope preserved, and freedom finally won. It's a story about what happens when the system fails, when the innocent are convicted, when evidence is ignored, and when the truth takes nearly 2 decades to emerge. 6 people, 1 witness, no physical evidence, and 18 years of fighting to prove the impossible, that they were all innocent. This is the story of Marcus Sullivan and the Brooklyn Six, a case that will challenge everything you think you know about justice in America. Disclaimer: inspired by true events, but all details have been changed. The night everything changed. It was January 22nd, 1996, a bitter cold night in the Ridgewood Heights section of Brooklyn, New York. 2 violent crimes occurred within an hour of each other, less than a mile apart. The first victim was Patricia Coleman, a 34-year-old logistics executive. She was found in her apartment bound with zip ties, a sock stuffed in her mouth. She'd been stabbed repeatedly. It was a vicious, brutal murder that shocked the neighborhood. Less than an hour later, just blocks away, another body was discovered. Samuel Okoye, a 41-year-old cab driver from Nigeria, was slumped over his steering wheel. He'd been shot 4 times at close range. His wallet, cash, and cell phone were missing. It appeared to be a robbery gone horribly wrong. Detective Frank Castellano, a 22-year veteran, led the investigation into Patricia Coleman's murder. Detective Brian Murphy, who'd recently made detective, caught the cab driver case. As the sun rose that morning, the 2 detectives compared notes and reached a conclusion. The same group of people must have committed both crimes. Same night, same neighborhood, same level of violence. They were looking for a crew. They were right about one thing: it was a crew, but they were completely wrong about everything else. 2 weeks later, on February 7th, 1996, 21-year-old Marcus Sullivan was at home with his newborn daughter when police kicked in his door. His baby, Aisha, was just 9 days old. Marcus was holding her when officers burst in, shouting, putting him on the ground while his girlfriend screamed and the baby cried. "You're under arrest for murder," they told him. Marcus was completely confused. "Murder? What are you talking about? I haven't murdered anyone." At the police precinct, Detective Murphy interrogated him for hours. Marcus insisted he knew nothing about any murders. He'd been home with his girlfriend and newborn baby, but the detectives weren't listening. Within days, 5 other people were arrested. Donna Pierce, a 31-year-old home health aide. Isaiah Brooks, 20 years old. Terrell Washington, 21, and attending community college. Andre Mitchell, 27, who worked construction. And Ramon Santos, 23, who worked at a grocery store. They became known as the Brooklyn Six. The thing is, most of them barely knew each other. None of them knew the victims. And all 6 insisted they were innocent. But nobody believed them. The witness. The prosecution's entire case rested on one person, a 24-year-old woman named Crystal Davis. Crystal lived in an apartment building near where the cab driver was killed, and she told police she saw everything. According to Crystal's testimony at trial, she was in her bathroom when she heard shouting. She looked out the window and saw 6 people surrounding a car. She recognized all of them from the neighborhood. She said she watched them rob the cab driver, heard their conversations, and saw them shoot him before running away. Crystal identified each defendant by name. Her testimony was detailed and specific, and it was the foundation of the entire prosecution. There was just one enormous problem with Crystal's story. It was physically impossible. The distance from Crystal's bathroom window to where the shooting actually occurred was approximately 130 yards. That's more than a football field away, at night, through trees and parked cars. And yet Crystal claimed she not only saw exactly who was there, but also heard conversations taking place inside a closed vehicle. Detective Murphy never went to the crime scene to check Crystal's sightline. He never verified whether her testimony was even physically possible. Years later, when defense attorneys finally did this basic investigative work, it became immediately obvious that Crystal could not have seen what she claimed. So why did Crystal lie? Marcus has a theory. He and Crystal had briefly dated, maybe a few weeks, possibly a month. When Marcus ended the relationship, Crystal was very upset. Marcus never imagined she would fabricate a murder accusation, but that appears to be exactly what happened. We wanted to speak with Crystal Davis about her testimony, but she died of a drug overdose in 2004. She never recanted her story. The trials. In 1998, 2 years after their arrests, the Brooklyn Six went to trial. By this point, prosecutors had made a decision. There wasn't enough evidence to charge Marcus Sullivan and Donna Pierce with Patricia Coleman's murder, so those charges were dropped. But the cab driver case moved forward. Let's be clear about what evidence the prosecution actually had. No physical evidence linking any defendant to the crime. No fingerprints, no DNA, no murder weapon. No stolen property recovered, just Crystal Davis's testimony. That was it. One witness testifying to something that was physically impossible to see. Despite this, all 6 defendants were convicted of murder in the second degree. The sentence, 25 years to life. Marcus remembers hearing the verdict. "It felt like someone shot me in the chest," he said. "You think they've made a mistake. You keep waiting for someone to say, wait, wrong verdict, but nobody does." Donna Pierce had a similar reaction. "I looked at the jury and couldn't understand. How could they believe her? How could they send 6 people to prison based on testimony that made no sense?" But that's exactly what happened. And the Brooklyn Six were sent away to begin serving their sentences. Life behind bars. Marcus Sullivan entered Greenhaven Correctional Facility at age 21. He faced the possibility of dying in prison for a crime he didn't commit. "I didn't believe innocent people actually went to prison," Marcus explained years later. "I thought the system worked. I thought if you were innocent, that would come out. I thought truth mattered. Life inside was dangerous. It's terrifying," Marcus said. "You could be walking in the yard and get stabbed. That's just life in prison. Every day you're watching your back, wondering if today's the day something happens." But Marcus refused to give up. He enrolled in every college course the prison offered. He studied law in the prison library, and he filed appeal after appeal after appeal, arguing his innocence, pointing out the flaws in Crystal's testimony, demanding justice. Every single appeal was denied. By 2008, 12 years into his sentence, Marcus had exhausted every legal option. He had no appeals left, no more moves to make. He was, legally speaking, out of hope. An unlikely friendship. That's when Marcus met Sister Teresa Morales, a Catholic nun who volunteered at Greenhaven. She taught meditation and worked with the prison theater program. The inmates called her Grandma. Sister Teresa had worked in prisons for over 15 years. She'd met many men who claimed innocence. But something about Marcus was different. "I was sitting alone in the cafeteria one day," Marcus remembered. "My family had sent me a care package. Sister Teresa sat down and said, 'Your family must love you very much.' I said, 'They do, because they know I'm innocent.' That's how our friendship began." Over the following years, Sister Teresa became like family to Marcus. When he lost his final appeal in 2008, he was devastated. "Grandma, I'm out of options," he told her. "I don't know how to keep fighting." Sister Teresa told him to keep faith, that many sisters were praying for him. But she also knew prayers alone wouldn't free him, so she did something more. She called the only lawyer she knew, David Hoffman, a corporate attorney in Manhattan. "Sister, this isn't what I do," Hoffman told her. "I handle mergers and acquisitions, not criminal defense." "Just meet him," Sister Teresa pleaded. "Just once." Hoffman agreed, expecting nothing. What he found changed everything. The investigation begins. David Hoffman brought his legal assistant, Lauren Bennett, to meet Marcus at Greenhaven. "I approached it with complete skepticism," Hoffman admitted later. "This is a convicted murderer telling me he's innocent. I've been practicing law long enough to know everyone has their version of events." But as Marcus walked them through the case, the impossibility of Crystal's testimony, the complete absence of physical evidence, the rushed investigation, Hoffman's skepticism began to crack. After the meeting, Hoffman did something the original detectives never did. He went to the crime scene himself. He stood where Crystal said she was standing. He looked at where the shooting actually occurred. "It became immediately obvious," Hoffman said. "There is absolutely no way Crystal saw what she claimed. It's not a matter of opinion, it's geometry, it's physics. She was lying, and the detectives never bothered to check." Hoffman agreed to take Marcus's case, pro bono. Lauren Bennett began taking daily call-out calls from Marcus, slowly building the foundation for a new investigation. At first it was all business, Lauren remembered. But when you talk to someone every day for months and years, you become real friends. Marcus became like family. Meanwhile, Marcus was conducting his own investigation from behind bars. For years, he'd been filing Freedom of Information requests for documents in his case. Most were denied. But in 2013, 17 years into his sentence, some files finally arrived. Reading through the police reports, Marcus noticed something odd. One name kept appearing: the Cash Kings, a notorious Brooklyn street gang known for robbery, drug dealing, and murder. Their territory was exactly where Samuel Okoye had been killed. Then Marcus found something even more significant. He obtained the cell phone records for Samuel Okoye's stolen phone, the phone that was taken by whoever killed him. The records showed that phone was used dozens of times in the hours and days after the murder. Marcus traced the numbers. They belonged to family members of two Cash Kings gang members, Luis Cordero and Danny Reyes. It took me 17 years to get those phone records, Marcus said. 17 years. And they proved someone else committed this crime. The evidence was there from the very beginning, but nobody looked. The confession. Marcus wrote a detailed letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York, laying out everything he discovered about the Cash Kings and the phone records. It was a desperate, last-ditch effort. He had no reason to believe anyone would even read it. The letter landed on the desk of Robert Chun, a federal investigator who'd spent years building cases against organized crime in Brooklyn. Chun read the letter, and something clicked in his memory. He'd heard the names Luis Cordero and Danny Reyes before. Years earlier, in 2004, Chun had been part of a federal task force targeting the Cash Kings gang. During that investigation, both Cordero and Reyes had confessed to multiple crimes while trying to negotiate plea deals. And one of those crimes was the murder of a cab driver in Brooklyn in 1996. Chun had even contacted the NYPD at the time to check if there were any open cases matching that description. He was told no, the case was closed. 6 people had already been convicted. Now, reading Marcus's letter 9 years later, Chun realized what had happened. These men were innocent. The real killers had confessed years ago. But because the case was already solved, the information had been filed away and forgotten. Chun immediately drove to Greenhaven to meet Marcus in person. This investigator walks in and introduces himself, Marcus remembered. I'm thinking it's about something else, some procedural thing. Then he shakes my hand and says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you're innocent. Marcus was confused. What are you talking about? Luis Cordero and Danny Reyes confessed to killing Samuel Okoye 10 years ago, Chun told him. I was there. I took their statements. You didn't do this. After 17 years of fighting, of nobody believing him, Marcus finally had someone in law enforcement saying he was innocent. He broke down crying. Chun immediately filed a sworn affidavit with the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, stating that Marcus Sullivan and the others were innocent and that the real killers had confessed years earlier. David Hoffman got the call from Chun while standing in a bank. I started crying right there at the teller window, he remembered. After 17 years, Marcus finally had proof of his innocence. You'd think that would be enough to free him immediately. It wasn't. The agonizing wait. On August 9, 2013, David Hoffman filed an emergency motion to vacate Marcus's conviction. The hearing should have been straightforward. They had a sworn affidavit from a federal investigator. They had phone records. They had proof that real killers had confessed. But the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office asked for more time to conduct their own investigation. The judge granted a 30-day extension. Marcus stayed in prison. I thought I was going home that day, Marcus said. When the judge said 30 more days, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. 30 more days after 18 years. Those 30 days were agonizing. The mental torture of knowing you're innocent, knowing they know you're innocent, and still being here, Marcus said. It was almost worse than before, because now freedom was so close I could taste it. But 2 weeks into the extension, David Hoffman got another call. The district attorney was prepared to offer a conditional release. Marcus could go home, but he'd have to wear an ankle monitor while they completed their investigation. Hoffman drove immediately to Greenhaven with the news. When am I going home? Marcus asked. September 15th. 2 weeks. Marcus had spent 18 years in prison. Now he had to wait 2 more weeks. Every hour felt like a day, he said. I kept thinking something would go wrong. That they'd change their minds. I couldn't let myself believe it was really happening. But it was happening, And Marcus shared something that had kept him going all those years. From certain cell windows in Greenhaven, you could see a bench outside the prison, by the water. Every time Marcus went to the barber shop, he'd look at that bench. "I told myself, one day, I'm going to sit on that bench as a free man," Marcus said. "One day I'm going to look back at this prison from the outside, instead of looking out from the inside." On September 15, 2013, 18 years after his conviction, that day finally came. Freedom. Marcus was transferred from Greenhaven to Brooklyn's Supreme Court. The courtroom was packed with family, friends, reporters, and cameras. Standing next to him was Donna Pierce, the only woman among the Brooklyn Six, standing there waiting for the judge to speak. "My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it," Marcus remembered. Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Wade addressed the court. "Your Honor, after extensive review, the people have concluded there are serious questions about these convictions. We consent to conditionally vacating the convictions of Marcus Sullivan and Donna Pierce. We ask they be released on their own recognizance with electronic monitoring." The judge nodded. "The motion is granted. Mr. Sullivan, Miss Pierce, your convictions are vacated. You're free to go." Just like that, it was over. Outside the courthouse, Marcus was surrounded by media and supporters. His daughter Aisha, now 18 years old and about to start college, rushed into his arms, both of them sobbing. "This is a major, pivotal point in my life," Marcus told the gathered reporters. "I persevered. Faith and determination, I'm standing here before you today as a free man." Donna Pierce stood nearby, also overwhelmed. "I was 31 when I went in," she said through tears. "I'm 49 now. I lost my 30s and most of my 40s, but I'm here. I'm free, and now everyone knows we're innocent." Within months, the convictions for all 6 defendants were overturned, for both the cab driver murder and for Patricia Coleman's murder, which had never been solved. Isaiah Brooks was 20 when convicted, 38 when released. "I spent my entire 20s and most of my 30s in prison for nothing," he said. Terrell Washington was 21 when convicted, 39 when released. "Clinton was president when I went in. Obama was president when I got out. Think about how much the world changed while I was locked up for a crime I didn't commit." Andre Mitchell was 27 when convicted, 45 when released. "I missed everything. Weddings, funerals, birthdays. I watched my parents grow old through prison visiting room glass." Ramon Santos was 23 when convicted, 41 when released. "People ask if I'm angry. Of course I'm angry. But I'm also grateful to be out. Both things can be true. All 6 were free, but 18 years can never be given back." The first night. We spent Marcus's first hours of freedom with him, documenting his re-entry into a world that had changed dramatically since 1996. The first challenge, a smartphone. Marcus had seen them in magazines but never actually used one. When it rang, he stared at it, confused. "How do I answer this?" Someone showed him. "Just swipe up." Marcus laughed at himself. "Can you hear me now? Like the commercial?" That evening, David Hoffman treated Marcus to dinner at a steakhouse. Marcus stared at the menu, overwhelmed by choices he hadn't seen in 18 years. Later, Hoffman checked Marcus into a hotel room, his first night outside prison walls. Marcus struggled with the keycard. How does this work? Once inside, he stood in the middle of the room, taking it all in. The TV, the comfortable bed, the view of the city. "I've been sleeping on a metal frame with a thin mattress for 18 years, Marcus said, sitting on the hotel bed. "This feels like a cloud." That night, alone in the room, Marcus called his daughter. "Hey, baby. Yeah, I'm out. I'm really out. I love you too. Get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow." After hanging up, Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, crying. "I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and be back in my cell," he said. "Like this is a dream, but it's not. It's real. Building a new life." 1 year after his release, in September 2014, Marcus opened a juice bar in downtown Brooklyn. He built it himself, working late into the night on the construction, the menu, the branding. He called it New Leaf, a fresh start, a new beginning. His business partner was Lauren Bennett, David Hoffman's assistant, who'd spent years fighting for his freedom. "He's like my bratty little brother," Lauren joked, "and I'm his annoying older sister, but we're family now." On the 1-year anniversary of the store's opening, Marcus had a surprise visitor. Sister Teresa Morales, Grandma, the woman who'd started it all, walked through the door. "Oh my God, Grandma," Marcus shouted, rushing to embrace her. "They told me you were overseas. Look at this place. You started all of this. You saved my life." Sister Teresa was crying. "No, Marcus, you saved your own life. You never gave up." The price of injustice. The Brooklyn Six filed civil lawsuits against New York City and the NYPD for wrongful conviction. After years of litigation, the city settled. Each of the six was awarded $12 million. $12 million, Marcus said. People hear that number and think, wow, he's rich, he's fine. But no amount of money can give me back 18 years with my daughter. No amount can let me be at her first day of school, her first date, her prom. Those moments are gone forever. The money is acknowledgement. It's the city saying, we were wrong. But it doesn't undo what happened. We wanted to speak with the detectives who investigated the original case. Detective Brian Murphy and Detective Frank Castellano, both now retired, declined our requests for interviews. In court filings, attorneys for New York City denied any wrongdoing. They pointed out that juries heard the evidence and reached their verdicts through the legal process. As for the real killers, Luis Cardero and Danny Reyes were already serving long prison sentences for other crimes. They were never charged with Samuel Okoye's murder. Prosecutorial decisions and statute of limitations issues made additional charges unlikely, and Patricia Coleman's murder remains officially unsolved. Her killer or killers have never been brought to justice. 7 years later. Today, Marcus Sullivan is 45 years old. New Leaf Juice Bar is still open and thriving, but the transition to freedom hasn't been easy. People think when you get out, everything's great, Marcus explained. You're free, you have money, life is good, but it's not that simple. I have nightmares. I wake up thinking I'm still in my cell. I struggle with trust. I struggle with crowds. Prison changes you in ways that don't just go away because you're free. His relationship with his daughter Aisha has been complicated. I love my father, Aisha said, but there's resentment. I can't help it. He missed my entire childhood through no fault of his own, but he still missed it. I had to grow up without a dad. That pain doesn't just disappear because he's free now. Marcus understands. Aisha has every right to feel how she feels. All I can do is be here now, as much as possible. We're working on our relationship. It takes time. But Marcus has been given a second chance at fatherhood. In 2016, his second daughter was born, baby Emma. This is my second chance, Marcus said, holding Emma. I get to be there from the beginning this time. The late-night feedings, the first steps, the first words, teaching her to ride a bike, reading bedtime stories. All the things I missed with Aisha, there's no price for that. In his office at New Leaf, Marcus keeps a photo collage on the wall. It shows other people who've been exonerated after wrongful convictions, men and women who spent decades in prison for crimes they didn't commit. This is my wall of hope, Marcus explained. Everyone here has been unjustly convicted and later freed. When I was inside, looking at pictures like these kept me going. It reminded me that truth can win. It doesn't always win quickly, and it doesn't always win easily. But it can win. His own photo is on that wall now. If my story can help even one other person who's fighting for their innocence, Marcus said, one person who feels hopeless, then maybe some good can come from all of this. The bench. There was one last thing we needed to do with Marcus. Remember that bench outside Greenhaven? The one Marcus stared at for 18 years? The one he promised himself he'd sit on as a free man? Several months after his release, we took Marcus back to that prison. He walked slowly to the bench and sat down, looking up at the massive prison walls. I used to look at this bench every day, Marcus said quietly. I'd tell myself, one day, I'm going to sit here as a free man. One day, I'm going to look at this place from the outside. He sat in silence for several minutes, just staring at the prison. You know, it's strange, he finally said. I'm not bitter. I'm not consumed by anger. Don't get me wrong, what happened to me was wrong. 18 years of my life were stolen. But I won. I beat the system that tried to destroy me. They took 18 years, but they didn't break me. I'm sitting on this bench. I'm free. I'm building a life. I'm being a father. That's victory. Marcus stood up from the bench and looked at the prison one last time. Justice delayed is justice denied. That's what they say. But I'd rather have justice delayed than justice denied forever. I got my justice. It took 18 years, but I got it. He turned away from Greenhaven Correctional Facility and walked toward his car, toward his life, toward his freedom. Let's go home, Marcus said. I've got a juice bar to run. Disclaimer. Inspired by true events, but all details have been changed. This is a fictionalized adaptation based on real patterns of wrongful conviction in the American criminal justice system. All names, locations, dates, and specific details have been altered. Any resemblance to actual persons or specific events is coincidental. Thank you for listening to the Salem Night Stories. Before you turn out your light, do one last thing. Like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, stay safe out there, Salem Night fans.